Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. So far, we've seen a bunch of different crossovers this year, but today I begin reviewing what happens when one universe crosses over with its own alternate versions. When DC Comics was making the move from New York City to Los Angeles, they needed a buffer to keep sales going. That was Convergence, a storyline where alternate versions of cities were plucked from the DC multiverse, encapsulated in domes that took away superpowers, and left on an alien planet for a year. Also, a figure named Telos could pit them against each other in combat to see who would win, and destroying the loser universes. It was kinda like DC versus Marvel, except less epic and more of a case of DC having to be told, stop hitting yourself, because they were essentially hitting themselves. I didn't bother with the Convergence miniseries proper. By this time, it was 2015, and on top of having learned my lesson about big tie-in comic events from Our Worlds at War, I was more than a little sick of the bad ideas being passed around at DC. Felt a lot like they were teasing readers they'd previously told to kiss off with their reboot in the first place. Additionally, it was more or less established that the New 52 universe was the pre-Flashpoint universe, just altered, if in new and excitingly idiotic ways. But as the two-parters revealed, those pre-52 versions were still around. And Rebirth goes back on that by saying it's the same universe but altered by Dr. Manhattan because they need to milk the Watchmen franchise for all it's worth, including trying to cover for their terrible, terrible ideas. Long history doesn't deter new readers, executive and editorial incompetence does. I did, however, indulge in 5 of the many two-part stories that served as tie-ins. Some out of curiosity, some because of the writers, and one that was kind of by accident. So I begin taking issue with 5 of these stories, today focusing on Convergence, the new Teen Titans, written by Marv Wolfman, featuring art by Nicola Scott, Mark Deering, and Jeremy Cox. So let's start this strange interreality journey and see if these comics make us want to turn the page or turn our heads. Number 1's cover shows us a classic Titans roster from the era by Wolfman himself. While Nightwing, Donna Troy, and Starfire all smile at the reader, Cyborg and Beast Boy smile in different directions, while Jericho is led by Cole, who is imitating Iceman with that shiny platform. Yeah, Wolfman's run was long before I got into comics, so you'll have to forgive my uncertainty. The celebratory nature of the cover isn't felt on the first splash page, showing Donna maintaining a recording of the past year to prevent current events from happening again. In a base in their version of Gotham, she somberly holds a picture of herself and her husband Terry. She notes how the chaos from the first few months under the dome has quieted down, thanks in part to Nightwing's city-spanning surveillance system. Say that 3 times fast while holding your nose and chewing bubble gum. Well, I gotta freshen the cliches up every now and again. However, it gets kinda lonely when crime is down and you only see your friends when there's a big enough threat. That and everyone else has found some manner of companionship. She closes the journal with the hope that the rest of the Earth is fine and prays her husband is safe. Nightwing calls to say that there's been a botched robbery, leaving 5 dead, and he and Starfire, jet-packing in pursuit, need ambulances on the scene and guidance in their chase. The Tamarinian princess goes into rage mode, and despite her partner's protest, figures why not use lethal force with her pack's weapons when her targets had just done the same. Oh, real mature Star. If everyone was shooting their enemies with energy blasts, would you do it too? Wait, she actually does that. In the central city of the Tangent Universe, some DC gimmick from years back I never paid attention to, Star Sapphire is unable to blast open the dome because, well, no powers, and even encouragement from Firehawk won't change that. Another member of their group, we'll find out later in the comic probably, reminds them they'd traveled into the past so as to save their future, and being held hostage kinda prevents that. That's when the dome recedes and a voice tells them that their worlds are dead, and only one city will be granted a future in trial by combat. Zip! I'm gonna go with future version of an expletive. So, what? It'd be like me saying, "You filthy piece of nothing," or "You son of a fast." As images of the Titans are shown to the people I don't recognize, so too are their faces revealed to our titular heroes. Because how embarrassing would it be if Nightwing and crew went and defeated a different city's champions, right? Wing orders a rendezvous as they finally get to see that beyond their protectorate is an unfamiliar wasteland. Starfire realizes that her powers have returned and starts blasting the thieves. When Grayson objects, she reminds him of her time as a slave, and in the 4 years they've known each other and 6 months they've been married, he still doesn't seem to accept her for her alien heritage. As she flies off, hoping it wasn't a mistake leaving the killers alive, Beast Boy reports that Cyborg, busy helping upgrade the city's power grid, isn't doing so well. Vic's positive attitude notwithstanding, the molybdenum cells holding his power core is deteriorating, and a replacement has yet to be found. And I sure hope he doesn't notice my very audible voice as I'm telling you this, especially since I'm only a few feet behind him, I'm not whispering, and he probably has enhanced hearing because Cyborg. At the base, Cole walks into the room upset about Joey, aka Jericho, aka Son of Deathstroke. She's certain that he finds her as attractive as she finds him, but her attempts at getting closer make him pull away. As if perhaps reflecting on her own romantic troubles, Donna tells Cole to be herself, and he'll find a way to signal his interest. Otherwise, there's nothing she can really do about it. Cole thanks her for helping everyone like she always does, and, well, we don't see the young woman leave the room, but I imagine she must have. Donna sheds a tear over not being able to help herself. We get 2 panels of Beast Boy helping with some grunt work, while Psy confirms he indeed heard his green buddy tell others he was all but done for. Then we cut to Tangent Star Sapphire, locating what must be their opponent's city in the distance. Zip that war! However, purple-skinned Bullcut has an idea. Look, I'm not familiar with these characters. They haven't been identified yet, so I have to work with what I've got. Since they were clearly transported to this world, someone with that kind of power would have the means of transporting them back. Unfortunately, the energy necessary for that seems to be in the very city whose heroes they're ordered to fight. It's a choice between millions of lives in the here and now and billions in their future. Sure enough, they assault the plant Vic and Gar are working in, declaring themselves the Doom Patrol, which is something of a surprise to Beast Boy, having known his own version of the team, and this ain't them. It's not long after calling for help, not very long at all, before Starfire shows up to defend her friends. She's struck from her 6 o'clock by Sapphire, but don't worry, Cole stops her fall by generating a platform of solid crystal. Because the Titan that generates platforms of rusty nails was just on the outskirts of town getting sub-sandwiches when they were abducted. The battle of the 2 teams is earnest but brief. After Cyborg's attack is bounced back at him, the guy in green, called Rampage, calls the woman with the futuristic potty mouth, Doomsday, that they need to fall back. Star wants to go after them, but Nightwing doesn't want her killing anyone. Both he and Donna don't feel they had any murderous intent, but the mystery of their attackers will have to wait, as Victor is clinging to life. Meanwhile, the Tangent Doom Patrol surmises their opponents were from an alternate Earth, and while the power plant was destroyed, they can fuel their way home by taking the regenerating Promethean power cells from Cyborg. The plant was destroyed? I didn't get any of that in their short scuffle. I mean, there was one explosion Nightwing flipped away from, but no details of damage to the facility. Maybe they should have tried working that into one of the panels. At Star Labs, many of the Titans are in a hallway by a set of stairs. Nightwing is sending them as he basically brushes Starfire off to talk later, his expression not the most enthused. While Cole tells the orange space Amazon how she can relate, Grayson bumps into Donna, wanting to strategize against the new foes and who's ever behind this forced war. Troy tries to lean the conversation to more interpersonal matters with a "frou," which I think was some kind of whistle, but Nightwing would rather not. However, she doesn't let him off that easy, reminding him that Coriander's people live by their emotions, so what they feel is intense and genuine, be it hate for her enemies or love for Grayson.
A starfire with emotions and, dare I venture, a personality? What a novel concept!
Richard expresses doubt that he and Corey ever would have gotten married had it not been for being abducted, but Donna tells him he's fortunate that he has someone to love, whereas she's been disconnected from her husband for so long. He apologizes, and then we jump to an odd panel. It's the male and female Titans on either side, like awkward kids at a school function, each too afraid to ask the other to dance. What's more, the color schemes are largely black, like they're getting ready for a funeral. So, funeral-themed school dance? Anyway, as her Doom Patrol prepares for battle, if a tad reluctantly, Firehawk sneaks away, contacting Nightwing for a chat.
Grayson's in for it now. He forgot to cancel his membership to multiversematch.com.
We then get a 2-page spread of a short history on the Titans, specifically the members in this book. On to issue 2, the cover of which features an obvious shout-out to Crisis on Infinite Earths, with Beast Boy impossibly cradling Cyborg as the other Titans brace for the Tangent Doom Patrol's arrival.
Maybe Gar isn't in mourning of a lost friend, but screaming, "Help me! This is like a koala trying to lift an elephant!"
The first page is split between Nightwing and Firehawk, communicating with each other as they travel across their respective cities. Yet no explanation on how she got his email address in the first place. While trust is something of an issue, they're both concerned about the mysterious entity that wants them to fight each other, lest both their worlds be destroyed. So they'll try and find an alternate option together. Meeting face to face, Earth 1 hero to just Earth but from the future heroine, they're determined to let no one die, be it the 8 billion in the tangent future or the 8 million currently in Gotham.
What a novel and, frankly, odd coincidence that both numbers began with 8.
Hawk reveals her team's plans for Cyborg's power cells, led by her mother Deirdre, aka Doomsday, and it just so happens that attack is happening as they speak, the Doom Patrol crashing into Cyborg's room as he's accompanied by the Titans.
Not that I'm rooting for these people to abduct Cyborg, but, wouldn't it have made a bit more sense to wait until visiting hours were over?
Eventually, most of the Titans are incapacitated, apparently Jericho being knocked out when Gorilla Beast Boy falls on him. Nightwing gets a call of the attack, and he assumes Firehawk was a distraction, which she denies. Meanwhile, Starfire gets extra ticked off as they try hauling Victor away, knocking the patrollers aside with increased intensity. Cole is elated when Jericho awakens, kissing him, but he signals that she's talking too much? Maybe they'll discuss things when there isn't a battle going on? Mute characters can be a bit difficult to read. Corey's brief hesitation gives Doomsday the chance to take her out with a laser blast, and her team makes their escape as Nightwing arrives on Firehawk's vehicle. Recovering on the roof, he tries making a plan while Star is angry she was kept from killing their enemies. Otherwise, Cyborg could have been saved, meaning Nightwing's rules are invalid. As Donna takes her skyward for a more private chat, Gar reminds the team leader of his own personal losses, and that Cyborg is the only family the Green Guys got left. But Wing assures him Vic isn't lost yet. We briefly stop with the Tangent Patrol of Doom to Firehawk angered she was left out of the loop, with Doomsday snapping back that their mission won't be entrusted to children, and their Earth is their only priority. Then we cut to Cole enhancing Joey Wilson's painting with her powers, making a sign like he's awkwardly rubbing his chin. I don't know if this is official sign language or maybe something Joey made up, and the young woman seems to understand, saying as hard as his life has been, he doesn't need to hide who he is from the team or her.
And suddenly the pacing takes a quick turn down what the Zip Boulevard.
As Donna and Wing have a chat, and Gar monitors for Cyborg, the Doom Patrol has Vic hooked up to their ship. Rampage apparently creating improved cells for the Promethium which won't deteriorate. However, the more pain the process inflicts on Victor, even at his furious encouragement,
The more bowl cut begins to question what they're doing. Deirdre is fed up and takes over, not knowing the transfer allows the Titan's scanners to pick up on Sai's signal. As the star-crossed newlyweds try to talk through their problems, BB informs them they've located Vic, though it seems due to damage to his power cells. And with a classic battle cry, the Titans go, and are soon battling the alternate Doom Patrol again. And it seems they were already waiting on the roof. Convenient. Beast Boy sneaks in and frees his buddy, but old Mr. Stone still has some stuff that needs a doing. At the fight, Doomsday fires a laser blast slow enough for Nightwing to intercept, taking the injury for his wife.
You wanted to kill him!
No, I wanted to kill you. He got in the way. Which is kind of weird since you got super strength and would probably have taken the blast a lot better than he did.
Deirdre insists that she'll kill anyone to see her mission through, her own death being the only thing to stop her. And that's not something the alien is willing to do as far as she's concerned. However, Starfire assures her both of her capability and desire to terminate the woman, but chooses otherwise, only giving her a solid punch since she doesn't want to become like the stranger. Corey and Grayson share a make-up and make-out, since it's not like they're in a life-and-death battle or anything, when Cyborg intervenes with an ultimatum. They work together against their unseen abductor, since the Tangent-verse people don't seem like they're actually evil, or they continue fighting and their gear goes kaboom in about a minute. Fortunately, Deirdre picks option number 1. Whew! I really did not want to die. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it too late to get Donald Glover to play a live-action Cyborg? He's got the chops for both dramatic and comedic acting, so why not?
However, the peacemaking is interrupted by a sudden tremor, after which the Doom Patrol is gone, and it seems by appearances they're back on Earth, save for a single star in the sky and Donna's ominous feeling of something wrong. Certainly don't want to elaborate with an establishing shot or anything, do we? The comic ends with lots of smiles and Nightwing's assurance that whatever's wrong, they'll figure it out, and at least they're with the ones they love, as he holds Starfire's hand.
And that was Convergence, the new Teen Titans. This was the accidental purchase I mentioned earlier. I'd asked for a different Titans Convergence title, I'll get to that in a couple of weeks, and I guess there was some confusion because the shop owner pulled this.
I decided to give it a shot anyway because, for one thing, it helps support my local comic shop, and I'd heard a lot of good things about Wolfman's Titans run, which heavily inspired one of my favorite cartoons. While some writers that work in the business for decades tend to get stuck in a particular style or feel dated when they're trying to write something contemporary, this still felt very fresh and the Titans real and engaging. The art does a good job of showing their emotions for quiet panels, and Cyborg and Beastie have fun dialogue with each other, though that's largely an issue 2.
Though it's the second issue where pacing becomes a bit frantic. While that could be on the writer and or artists, the larger factor may have been the fact that this was for an event DC was rushing out for their big move.
Which is likely also the reason for the Doom Patrol's sudden disappearance and wherever the Titans ended up not being appropriately established. Time crunches, editorial rules to conform to the main series, stuff like that. Though that wouldn't quite explain everything, like why we didn't actually see the supposedly damaged power plant, which I guess means Gotham is without electricity. What also didn't help was the lack of detail, like in captions, for certain characters. The Titans are fine, they refer to each other by their real and heroic names often enough, on top of them being more familiar to a wider audience in animated form. But the Tangent universe is much more obscure, and we don't get names for some of them until after the halfway point of the first issue.
I'm not familiar enough to compare this with Wolfman's other works, but it's an enjoyable read that doesn't really require you to be reading the main event. Next week, we look at the S-emblazoned jacket and the egocentric clone who wears it. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.